you don't know where it is.
Sorry.
It's quite a ways away. It's Hunter Romano, and he's now lives on the family farm, and they have sheep and chickens, and he's an extension agent in
all my slides.
yeah, in cattle. And so I think it's amazing that he's the one that initiated a grant to get the native plant garden started out there. So here's Hunter.
Hunter, just so you know, we can see your the notes.
You can see the notes?
I can see the notes. You might have to go to display settings.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know. That might work too.
What about this? Nope. Oh, let's see. I'm not
You might want to try display settings at the top.
I don't see that.
Um,
Oh yeah, there it is.
yeah.
Is that better?
Oh, yes, that worked.
Okay. All right, perfect. All right. So like she said, my name's Hunter Romano. I am the Agriculture and Natural Resources Agent in Bland County. I've been an extension agent for about 13 years. I started, well, maybe. There we go. I started my career in Wise County as a 4-H agent in 2012. I went to Emory and Henry College for my bachelor's. I got a double major in geography and environmental science and a minor in business management. And then while I was an agent, I got my master's degree in crop and soil science from Virginia Tech. I grew up on a farm. We raised hogs and cattle when I was younger. When I was a senior in high school, my dad decided that he wanted to raise sheep. So we've been raising sheep since 2005. I spend a lot of time working with sheep. That's my main focus, I guess, as an extension agent, is small ruminants. And then I kind of specialize in livestock. Like, that's my main thing. But as far as our grant for the Native Plant Society, the other members of my office and I came up with the idea of starting a community garden at our office in Bland. The goal was to create a space for the community to come together, learn about food production, and in combination with the environment. So our main focuses after we, did our brainstorming sessions were to grow produce and then involve native plants in some way. In the beginning, we had 10 garden spaces. This is just a picture of, I think that's the second year that we had the gardens planted. And to preface this, I lost my phone last summer and had a lot of really good pictures on it. I had an issue with water, so I don't have a ton of pictures of the gardens fully bloomed out. I lost those, but this is what our community garden looks like. We have 10 total garden spaces. 6 of them are 4x8 beds, and then we have 4 4x4 beds. And you can see right here, this 4x8 bed and this one are native plants. That's what I used the money to purchase. The reason we kind of came up with this is, I don't know what you all know about Bland County, but it's a very rural area. We only have about 6,000 people, and there are very few public spaces for people to come together and to do, community-oriented events. The Blaine County Extension Office just seemed like a great place to make this happen. I like to think that we're a pillar of the community. Most people know who we are. I do a lot of programs that are agriculture-based in the community. We have an extremely strong 4-H program, so we have a lot of kids that are involved with our office as well. And this is a centrally located space in the county. Our community sponsors were Hitachi Energy, Bradshaw Lumber, and the Blaine County local government. Hitachi Energy donated all the wood that we use to make our raised beds for our garden. Bradshaw Lumber donated some composted soil that they had. So we got that for free. And then our Blaine County local government workers built all of those beds. So we didn't have to put any money into any of that. We also had a lot of 4-H help. I think we had probably about 25 kids throughout the year that assisted with watering whenever they were around, weeding some of the raised beds, mulching and stuff at the end of the year once the plants were going dormant. We wanted to try to save them for the winter. So they were very active with the garden in that way. They also made some signage that they put with all of the native plants to kind of tell people what they were and what was going on in the gardens. So our financial investors, like I said, we got the grant from New River chapter of the Native Plant Society, and then we also got an Extension Master Gardeners grant. So after we got our community support, we decided that we needed some extra things. So then we started going after those financial sponsors. This was just kind of the hierarchy of what I did to get people involved with the community garden, kind of spearheaded the 4-H kids assisting. Here's a list of kind of the supplies that we got with both of our grants combined. Water hoses, hand tools, enhanced soil and composted manure. We did have to purchase some of that to just kind of help the plants along a little bit. We got scales for the people who are growing produce in their garden spots to kind of see how much we could produce throughout the year. We got some vegetable plants because the first year the 4-H kids had their own garden spot, so they grew vegetables in that spot, and we got those with our Master Gardener money. And then with the native plant money, we obviously got native plants. Our native plant list is what you see here. So we had bee balm, milkweed, hyssop, black-eyed Susans, obedient plant, and butterfly weed. We got all of those from Beagle Ridge Herb Farm. Have any of you all ever heard of that before? Okay, so I go to Beagle Ridge every year. I work really closely with Ellen. So I get plants for my personal use at our farm. And I'm really big into pollinators. So I'm try to help the monarchs and all of that. But these are the plants that she suggested based on the space. We don't have a lot of shade where the community garden is. So we needed plants that were going to be kind of heat tolerant. In the midsummer, they get really hot. It gets really hot. There's not a lot of windbreak either. So we needed plants that would be able to withstand the elements a little bit. The first year, the kids tried to come out once a week and count the caterpillars that were growing on our native plants. They did good for about 2 weeks, and then there were just millions of them, it seemed like. So they kind of lost track of their number as far as that goes. But they all did some research. So we kind of turned it into a 4-H project, and they had to kind of do some research on the plants that we had purchased and brought for our native plant beds. They had to give a presentation about pollinators that benefit from all of these plants. And they kind of did a presentation on how the pollinators benefited the vegetables that were growing in the other beds in the community garden. The first year, like I said, we only had a couple people that had produce in a couple of the beds. And then the 4-H kids did one. And then the rest of them, I put wildflower mixes and zinnias and stuff like that to kind of help the butterflies along a little bit. This past year, we ended up producing, we had 4 or 5 people that got raised beds and did produce around the native plants. We ended up producing about 150 pounds of food throughout the summer. So considering the size of our raised beds, that's kind of a lot in such a small space. We're looking moving forward at adding more raised beds to the area. We're kind of getting some traction as far as people being involved. So we kind of talked about, or our office talked about, for each 2 raised beds that we add for produce, we're going to add another one for native plants to kind of keep it even and kind of grow the aesthetic value of our community garden as well. So these were the functions that I feel like were important from the native plants in the community garden. They obviously provide aesthetic value to the area. It's very green only where we are. There's a lot of houses around, there's some businesses, so there's not a lot of flowering plants that people can see all the time. The native plants add value to the community garden through helping produce homegrown food. They help maintain the balance of ecological systems. They assist with adding pollinators to the area, and then they create an opportunity for learning for all members of the community. So in my work, I do a lot of classes with the With Blend Master Gardeners. So I've used our native plants to teach some classes. I do a couple classes on habitat gardening and on pollinators specifically. So I've used the insects and the plants that we have to kind of teach our master gardeners for their classes. Yeah, so that's it. And I'm ready for questions.
Ask you, please repeat so the Zoom people can hear it. I just like to know, so this has been about 4 years that you've had.
Yeah.
Okay, and did you see about the same amount of pollinators each year?
She asked if we had the same amount of pollinators each year. I would say the second year we definitely had more. That first year, the bee balm and the obedient plant and the black-eyed Susans were still pretty small at the end of the growing season. They all managed to survive the winter, and this past summer, the whole garden was completely filled with flowers. Like there was no empty space at all. So we definitely had more pollinators the second year for sure.
What kind of caterpillars were did you have? And can you repeat the plants that you had?
Yeah, absolutely.
Again, because I didn't see, I couldn't see.
Yeah, we'll go back. She asked how many or what kind of caterpillars we had, and then to go back to our plants. So the caterpillars were mostly monarch caterpillars. And monarchs only live on milkweed or variations of milkweed. So that's pretty much what we had the whole time. We did have the issue of having to fight aphids this past summer. There were aphids all over the butterfly weed, and I didn't want to put anything on them really.
That's normal.
Yeah.
And if Susie Lessman was here, she would tell you that the birds eat.
Well, they didn't eat anything because it killed my butterfly weed. Yeah.
There are other pollinators whose larvae whose young will eat the aphids. That's your syrphids.
Yeah.
There's a large
Yeah.
whole group of syrphids, and that's what they eat.
Well, they were not existent in our garden last year. Yeah. I will say we didn't see any ladybugs last year. And any regular, we had some Asian lady beetles, but not the, yeah. 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 So, I mean, we just left them. I'm going to probably have to buy some more butterfly weed this year.
The kids you were serving that were working there, do they have homes where they have places where they can?
Some of them do. Yeah. I mean, it was just a way for us to get them involved in something else 4-H related. Oh, she asked if the kids that were involved had gardens at home. So yes, they did.
I just wondered, looks like, forget what all it is, but is that Rebecca? Yeah, anyway, did one of your plants like take over?
The obedient plant, she asked if any of the plants took over the space. The obedient plant has definitely taken over right now. The next time I get a decent day to go outside, I'm going to go pull some of it up. Because it's definitely engrossing on everything else.
You could give it away.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you thought of adding other species?
Yeah, so once we get the funds to add more raised beds, we are planning on adding more species. That's on it's in the wheelhouse.
You ever take the kids on field trips to see native plants?
No, he asked if I ever take the kids, the 4-H kids on field trips related. Most of the kids that I work with personally are more livestock related. So I do take them on a lot of field trips, but they're typically regarding animals.
Have you found this to be, an increased number of people in the community stopping and looking?
Yes. So she asked if we have more community traffic with the community garden. So we get a lot of traffic anyway. But since we've got the rose beds now and there's so many flowers down there, people, when they stop in our office, they definitely take the time to go down and see what we have going on.
And you said you had signage, you had.
Yeah.
Put up some stuff.
Yeah.
Have you seen the native species flower guide, the plant guide that is available from all the organizations? Around here, like the master, well, the master gardener.
I think,
Plant Society have boxes of them and.
I think that,
The library.
did you guys donate to the master gardeners? Like some guys?
Prison put out this.
I think I do have one
Okay.
from that. So I gave some away. They gave me, everybody in the class got one. Okay. He's asking if I saw the native plant guide. So yeah, they gave one to everybody that was in the class, and then the extras they gave to me. So I've been handing them out to people that come in our office. And I kept one for myself.
There's 6,000 people in land. How many of them are going to be? Not too many.
Way more than that.
Yeah, who's the major employer in?
She asked what the major employer in Bland is. The prison is one, the school system, and then pretty much everybody's a farmer. Or they travel outside the county, or they come to Withville, Bluefield, some come up to Christiansburg, Radford. We have a lot of medical workers that come up to Radford or Pulaski to work at the hospitals.
Do you know what they're planting at the prison? They try to plant crops and they.
Yeah, she asked what they plant at the prison. At the prison, they mostly focus on corn production and hay. They've got a cattle herd. I know last summer they got a little herd of goats that came from one of the ARECs from Virginia Tech. I think that was out at the beach. So the goats came and lived there.
I thought they were food for the prison.
They do grow some food. But they're not, right, they're not totally self-sustaining.
We're not worried about it. It's there. It's just a learning.
Right,
experience.
yeah.
That might be a good thing to teach out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, I think I might have a question in the chat. Maybe.
I don't see any questions in the chat. I was wondering.
Yeah.
There is a professor at Virginia Tech who's starting to study like seeding cow pasture with native plants. And and like seed plants they could forage on, obviously not like
Right. Yeah.
that would be poisonous. But have you looked into anything like that?
I personally have not. I would say that there will definitely have to be some research done, because most of the farmers, as far as cattle production goes, are also into hay production. So native plants are not great for hay production long term. But if they could find something that would be good, then I think that would be awesome.
You work with the Amish there?
She asked if we work with the Amish. They have their store.
Yeah.
You guys been to the store?
Yeah.
Great sandwiches. But no, they don't. They probably know more than I do about anything.
Yeah, I
once. Yeah. When it was, I think it was a Christmas bird count, whatever, at one time I drove around that area.
So some places in Virginia, the deer population is greatly increased, but places like Bath County, the deer population is decreased. So is Bland, are you overrun with deer like we are? Or?
She asked if we're overrun with deer. Yes, we are overrun with deer.
So you have, how do you protect your beds?
I don't. I mean, at the farm, we just deal with it basically. I mean, there's no way to really protect them without one, making it look ugly, or two, well, so my personal flower beds are close enough to our house that we don't really have to deal with the deer that much. And that's kind of the same deal with what we have going on at our office. I think we're far enough into the town, which is not very big, but we're far enough into the town that we don't really have to deal with wildlife too much.
Really interesting because urban areas are becoming areas where a lot of wildlife is.
Well, and
It's just like-
we're by no means urban. No. Yeah.
It's very urban, it's like raccoon, opossum, skunks, groundhogs, all in our yard.
We do have groundhogs that kind of give us trouble sometimes, but they're more of an issue with the produce than with the plant bed or the flower beds.
And a lot of local libraries have started gardens. Does Bland Public Library have anything going?
She asked if the Bland Public Library has any gardens. I don't believe so. As far as I know, they just have shrubs and stuff just around. Yeah, aesthetic. But they don't have any like flower
Might be a
beds.
lot more. We have more chance of getting more interest in butterflies than us, since they're so rural. Well, rural doesn't mean it's not used.
Right. It depends. It depends on what you're producing, you know, some areas it's all agricultural.
Yeah.
And woods, no, you won't get more. Because, now it used to be true, because people would plant fence row,
Right.
and mow the roadsides.
Well, so the upside to Bland County, we're not a crop producing county. I mean, most people, as far as gardening goes, are producing personal. They've got, maybe half an acre and there's 1,000 different vegetables in there. Most of our agriculture is livestock related. So people aren't really spraying pastures constantly. So we have a lot of just flowering plants that are, just in the environment. On my farm in particular, I have all kinds of butterflies. I've got swallowtails, I've got red admirals. The lady one, what's it called? Yeah, painted lady. We got monarchs, obviously. So yeah, I mean, we have lots of different varieties. In the places where people are planting bigger crop production, then I think it's probably less.
You said that, 6,000 people in Bland, is that in the town or in the whole county?
The whole county.
The whole.
She was asking about the population of Bland. That would be the whole county. The town of Bland probably has 300, maybe.
So in Bland, we look at it.
We have one grocery store in the entire county. We have, we have a couple post offices. We don't have any stoplights in the entire county. We have a Subway and an Arby's.
Yeah, I used to go that way just to get up to, to I-77 from your thing.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask about the children.
Yeah.
Do they get excited just by the flowers, or, do they see enough pollinators that they're interested in that? Because in Beth's garden, they're really great. The kids are really, in
Right.
fact, one of them wanted to pet the wasp.
She was asking about the kids that are involved with the community garden.
Even if they're not, just see being there. they
Right.
get excited.
So we don't, other than the 4-H kids, we don't have a lot of youth traction. I think that they definitely are interested to a point.
But more to the insects than the flowers.
They're more into, so they earn points in 4-H. They're trying to become 4-H all-stars. So when we give them various activities to do, they earn points that way. So they're more interested probably in that. But I do have a few kids that I think are planning to come to Virginia Tech and major in some type of agriculture or environmental work. So it's making some type of impact, I think.
Do they have gardens in the schools?
She asked if we have gardens at the schools. Yes, so at the high school, they have a greenhouse. So they grow plants there throughout the spring and do a plant sale at the end. Where our high school's located, there's really not space to make a garden that would be worth anything, to be honest. They do plant a lot of flowers, mostly annuals, just to, kind of spice up the place a little bit, so that it looks better. But our FFA teacher does a good job as far as the greenhouse and showing them how to get plants started and stuff like that.
So what kind of plants do they grow in the high school? It's the high school.
Right, yeah, at the high school.
So, yeah, and they have a plant sale. And I'm suggesting that it would be really cool to grow native plants and sell
Right.
to all.
So most of the plants that they grow are, they grow marigolds, they grow zinnias, things that people buy once a year and stick in a pot. Yeah, like that kind of thing. I think it's more cost effective for them to do that. They also do some vegetables too. So they start tomato plants, pepper plants, watermelon, cucumbers. Yeah.
Okay, I just wonder, I thought about the seed from the garden now that it started. Are you saving it or is somebody trying to see?
I haven't been saving it.
It's going back in soil.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I don't clean out the beds. Well, I'm gonna clean them out now, but they've been there all winter. I've touched them since then. But yeah, I'm gonna clean them up a little bit just because they're not looking great.
Oh, you're really good too.
Any other questions from online?
There's one more question.
Oh, yeah, I see that.
Okay.
How did Hitachi Energy happen to be located in Bland? So, there was a company called ABB, that has been there for ever, as far as I know. And Hitachi Energy bought out ABB, 3 or 4 years ago. So they've just got a small factory there. ABB made transformers and then shipped them out all over the world. I don't know exactly if Hitachi's doing the same thing or if they've kind of shifted production a little bit. But yeah, transformers is what was. Yeah. German, I think. I don't know what ABB stands for. Something Bavaria is the last word.
Sounds very true.
Yeah.
A lot of German stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so besides Hitachi, as far as businesses go, we have Passport Atlantic and we have Henry Schein in Bland. That's pretty much it.
And the major road that goes through here, 77? They have major road.
Oh, yeah. We get interstate traffic all the time.
Okay, well, I guess we should thank him. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone online. If you have
Thanks,
anything,
Hunter.
no problem.
No more questions from Zoom.
That's a beautiful place, that's where, Walker Creek goes through there, right?
Yes, it does. That's the Amish market is Walker Valley Market.
Oh.
So that creek actually runs right by my house, through my property.
There, that brick serpentine fence, there,
The what is it?
brick serpentine.
I don't know. We have Dismal Falls.